Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I think in our last meeting we were trying to understand what is the family ethics in Islam. In that respect, we covered earlier 16 points, and now we are on a very important Quranic injunction which has been quite often misinterpreted by both men and women. The meaning in front of you are very simple. Men are the protectors and maintainers of women because Allah has made one of them excel over others, and because they spend out of their possessions to support them. Thus, righteous women are obedient and guard the rights of men in their absence under Allah's protection. As for women of whom you fear rebellion, admonish them and remain apart from them in beds and beat them. Then, if they obey, you do not seek way to harm them, for Allah is most high great. Several things have been mentioned here, which quite often, as a part of belief, people don't want to explore. We quite often are possessed by an Islamic feeling that if we question anything in the Quran or prophetic life, we will become an apostate, a non-Muslim. Therefore, the Quran is taken just as a statement never to be analyzed or understood. First thing that raises eyebrows is Ar-Rijal Qawmun ala Nisa. Men are protectors and maintainers of women, and for that you find that a blanket understanding is developed that men are rulers and women are subjects, and it has no basis in Islam. In Surah Al-Ahzab 33rd Surah, the Quran talks about believing men and believing women who observe their prayers, who observe their zakah, who observe their piety, and so on and so forth. And at the end says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has promised for them a reward. Nowhere it is said that since men are protectors, they will have higher reward than women. Nowhere said men have a so-called masculinity, machoism, strong with muscles, therefore they are superior to women. Nowhere. Therefore, the Quran is to be understood not by what you think or what some muftis or some modernists think. Modernists respond immediately by saying, since the Quran is saying men are having 1 degree higher, they have tafdeel, superiority. So Islam is discriminatory, and therefore empowerment of women means that whatever men are given as authority should be snatched from them and given to women. So make women custodians of family, and that will make you a proud nation. This is what is fed through media, through informal conversations, jokes, everything that you find in your society or elsewhere. Secondly, when the Quran says that if you find them not obedient, then men have a right to admonish them. Even the word darab are used, wadribuhunna, and that's translated as beating. That again brings an issue of human rights, that who has allowed men to have violence, to use force, and particularly to harm women physically. That is further extended and said that since so-called Declaration of Human Rights, which has no legal value at all, but anyhow, so many 4 conferences of women human rights and so on and so forth, they have talked about equality of men and women. Therefore, this Quranic injunction is contrary and against all human understandings. Whenever you take a Quranic word or Quranic sentence in isolation, you have all liberty to interpret it the way you want, but that will be a wrong interpretation. The Quran says, go and find these mushrikeen wherever you find them and kill them. Take that ayah, blow it out of proportion and say, look, Islam spreads terrorism, violence, fundamentalism. It is against all other religions. Therefore, anyone who believes other than Islam, they hunt, they kill, they torture, and this is what they call Khilafat, Islamic State, so on and so forth. But if they ever read the full ayah, then it's different meaning. The ayah says, these mushrikeen are given 4 months to leave these territories of haram. Let them leave wherever they want to leave. No compulsion, no fighting, no following them, no harming them. After 4 months, if they re-enter those areas which are prohibited for them, then find them wherever you find and kill them. Now, a world of difference between the meaning of the whole ayah and part of ayah. Yet you will find in social media, in so many text messages moving around the world, quoting only that much portion and saying, the Quran says, kill all mushrikeen and polytheists, therefore it's a violent religion. I brought this example just to illustrate what will happen if you take these words in isolation. Let's translate this Quranic ayah in actuality. Suppose in Medina Munawwara, while Prophet is alive, this ayah comes as revelation. What will be the situation? If there are 2000 Sahaba in Medina, not 50%, maybe 20%, 10% have wives who never cooperate in any matter, always rebellious. What should happen? The moment the ayah comes, they are going to marketplace, get most strong sticks, come back home and say, listen, now here is your solution, behave or you are going to get beating. Do you have any single incidence in the whole history of that period where a husband is using force because this ayah says so? Secondly, the word daraba not only means beating, but also means re-emphasis and clarification. The Quran uses this in many places. Daraba amsalan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala elaborates, presents allegories, examples to make you understand. Does not mean Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala beats you with examples. Therefore, every single word Literal translate does not mean that's the meaning. The problem is literal translation. Literally the word can mean, but does it also mean in the context? And is it supported by any evidence? Because Quran is not a book of theory. It's an applied ethical manual. Therefore, whatever is being said, if it's not applied by the Prophet himself, by companions, do we have one single incidence that Prophet raised his voice against his wife? He ever tried to show his anger, or he was all love and compassion? So what is Quranic tafsir? Prophetic example or what I think? For every single ayah I have to go and find out how did Prophet apply this ayah through his action and behavior. And if he has not done it, then his mission is not complete. Since the Quran says we have sent you to complete your mission, elaborate what is in the book, Ta'limul Kitab. Therefore, the Prophet should not leave us without telling us what's the application of this ayah. Not only the Prophet, but the companions should provide us an example of how they interpret it. If any of them has understood the meaning that just now you are given a license, a permission, so make use of it as much as you want, then one can say the ayah has that implication. Otherwise, it never means that. It is no different than what we will see later on when you come to the ayah that talks about a person who has divorced his wife terminally, and then the word used in the Quran is halala. We'll come to it and discuss it, what's its meaning. Again, if you take the meaning literally, then it has certain implications. But if you understand its context, then complete different meaning. So we'll come to it in a while. Now, coming back to first and foremost, in what sense the Quran talks about protectors or maintainers. The family system or ethics of family in Islam is that marriage is a civil contract in which a husband publicly takes responsibility for honor, for compassion, for needs, for all kind of complementarity needed in family life, and then two persons at least bear witness that this person in our presence has declared that X is my wife and I will take care of all these things. The Quran wants to validate that, not just customary but legally responsible. Therefore, the ayah says the wife may be a millionaire, may have her own executive office and maybe chief executive of a multi-billion corporation, but she is not supposed to take care of herself. All this wealth is her. Husband has no right on it. But at the same time, husband must provide her with full protection, security, care, food, health, education, everything. So the ayah makes it very clear that by maintaining, and that is why they are called to excel. This is conditional. Tafdeel is because of this responsibility. If you say that in a high school we have 15 teachers and one principal, and principal draws same salary as that of teachers, But since he is principal, when he says, sir, you will teach this subject, other will teach this subject, as teachers they obey him. This is his tafdeel. But does that make him a superman and they become pygmies? No. They remain the same. Maybe after 1 year, one of those teachers will be asked to become principal and he will become a teacher. So, tafdeel does not mean absolute superiority, because the Quran elsewhere shows that men and women are going to be rated and ranked and evaluated on their conduct, not on their gender. Is that clear? You don't have to agree with me. Okay? You have all rights to disagree with me. Disagree with me as much as you like. Okay? Then it tells us that those who are pious women does not mean pious women alone. It also means pious men. Does not mean that wife should be very pious and guard her chastity, but husband has all liberty to flirt with his secretary in his office, has full liberty to go on tours with strangers and live with them and do whatever he wants. The Quranic principles are one and same. So when the Quran addresses something to women, it's not particular to them. It is for both. And same when the Quran says men should do it, it's not confined to men. If the Quran says men should be witness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, shuhada ala nas, then does it mean that women are absolved from that? No responsibility for them? Only men should go out and do dawa work? Women are excluded? Not at all. Therefore, throughout the Quran, the principle is wherever the word has male gender, it applies to both. So, it does not say everywhere believing men, believing women. Mu'mineen, mu'minat, no. It just says mu'mineen and covers all of them. So, here again, you find that it is not just a matter of advising women to be very pious and righteous and obedient and not for husbands. Experience tells us that husbands are sometimes more obedient than wives. Practically, they may not accept it publicly. Then it says that you are permitted. Again, you see the words used are that keep yourself away from bed, which means family life is not a matter of two persons living in one room. It's not that this is your territory, this is my territory. It's not that on the bed left side is mine, right side is yours, and there is a border in between. It's a matter of compatibility, mutuality. Therefore, when you withdraw from mutuality, this in itself is a torture, is a punishment for both. It's wrong to think that when a mother, out of losing her patience, shouts or hits her daughter, she feels happy. Quite often she will cry after that when she is alone. Why I hit her? It's not a matter of gender superiority and inferiority. Human nature is such that you cannot, if you are in pure state of nature, you cannot commit something wrong. When your nature is corrupted, then you can do anything. That's why hadith says, if a person has no haya, he can do anything. Haya does not mean unveiling your body, but haya means what kind of speech, what kind of vision, what kind of tone of language, what kind of behavior. One single word, can you translate that in English? concepts cannot be translated, words may be. Concept of haya cannot be translated at all in one single word. Concept of adl cannot be translated with justice. It's one single word, but has so many dimensions. Therefore, when we talk about this aspect of the Quran, every single ayah needs to be properly understood in its context, and you do not need a mufti sahib, a mufassir to do that. You only need sincerity. You only need to come out of your cocoon, your self-created space around your mind and body. If you think that you are just a female and just a male, it's a finitude. You have to think as a believing male or female. When you are believer, you have a new personality. It's not led by gender, but led by your belief. Therefore, when the Quran talks about these aspects, that if you find things are not going well and every time things are against what you want, rebellious attitude, for rebellious attitude, the ayah says that you may withdraw from bed, but does not mean that look for opportunity. As soon as one single request made by you, not a command but a request, is not heard, then you become angry, find the most strong stick and attack. No, it's ridiculous, it's illogical, it's against the very spirit of the Quran and the prophetic life. So the responsibility anyhow remains of husband in family to provide all kind of financial and physical support. Having said that, it is the same Quran which says that believers, there are enemies to you from among your spouse and your offspring, beware of them. What does that mean? Those who are supposed to be loving, compassionate and part of your personality, part of your living, why the Quran is saying that there is a problem with them? Because it's very simple. Sometimes we act unethically because of the demand made by such near ones. We have been hearing for quite some time a word in our country known as corruption, and you find in news coverage quite often they show that from a home they have discovered a suitcase full of gold and ornaments. This gold and ornaments cannot enter a home by itself unless there is a desire by the members of family. Therefore, corruption is not a matter of one person, it's a matter of those who persuade and lead to corruption. If a husband comes back from his job and every evening he finds an angry face saying that the perfume which was supposed to be given to me is not here, and the jewelry that I was supposed to get from you is not there, and we were supposed to go out this evening to the most expensive cafeteria to take our dinner, but you say I don't have enough money. What should he do? He should ultimately go and steal money to bring peace in his family. It's not a matter of one person. Corruption comes always through different channels. So the Quran tells us, don't let them become those enemies. But at the same time, it says, But if you forgive and overlook their offense and pardon them, then surely Allah is most forgiving. Even if there are some wrongs done by your family members, then you have to forgive, because you want to be forgiven by Allah. If you don't want to be forgiven by Him, you have every right to be angry on everyone. But if you want Allah to forgive you, then you must have a habit of forgiving and forgetting, or else life does not become pleasant at all. It becomes a problem, and that's why you find that we are entering an age of depression, frustration, disappointment, as the West has already entered and has been living for centuries. According to medical reports, there are over 80% Americans who cannot live without chemicals to keep them normal. And that's a very flourishing industry. For those who come from Faculty of Pharmaceutical Sciences should be very happy about that. They have business there. But that business does not bring peace. It only hooks them to drugs, and that's all. To the extent that several states have allowed marijuana to be purchased publicly and dispensed by chemists to anyone, while they know very well its effects. It creates hallucinations, it affects your thinking power, everything. Yet, so the point here was that Islamic ethics requires, on the one hand, there was a ayah that tells you that you may use your legal right, but then it tells you that you better not use your legal right, but forgive and forget all those things.
So ये जो words use हुए हैं ताफू
जी
ताफू से जो words use हुए हैं ताफू तस्बहू और काफिर, so इनको थोड़ा सा explain करेंगे.
You see, the word af or afiya has a meaning which you cannot explain. The Quran says they ask you about what to give. Qulil af. And af means that if I want to give something to needy people, then I can give everything except what is needed by me to survive. That means af. It can be less than that, it can be more than that. So the word has enormous flexibility, but we only take literal meaning of the word with the help of a dictionary. And the people who translate into English or Urdu are compelled to do it. How can you put in translation 5 different words against one word in a text? How? You cannot. Therefore, the poor mufassirin and translators have no choice but to use one single word. So they say forgive. No, it's not forgiveness. You say afwan, forgive me in Arabic. Afwan means forgive me, but does not mean it has only that meaning. That means that you need to have that much magnanimity to disregard what is taking place. Therefore, afwan, when you say excuse me, then maybe you are using it to get passage. A crowd is there and you want to enter. Maybe you have spilled coffee on someone and you say excuse me. Maybe someone has put his foot on your foot and you say excuse me. It's one word and you use it all these times. So if the Quran uses a word like that, nothing wrong. However, you have to use your brain power and find out whatever we are thinking, how far it mixes and blends with the rest of the ayah. And that shows you how close you are to Quran. You may have novel ideas but if it doesn't match with the rest of it, useless. And that's the art of tafsir and understanding, or tafhim. So wasfahu, similarly, the literal meaning may be one, but it refers to that openness, widening, that elaboration which is part of human behavior. So, and similarly, istighfar, maghfirat, and seeking Allah's forgiveness and forgiving others has not one but a huge amount of meaning. So, but we have no choice but to use these literal translation of these words. Then it says that you must have graceful living. This is the nearest meaning I could find for the word ma'ruf. Although in translation you find usually live in good manner or righteously, but I believe that it is much more nearer to the wider meaning of ma'ruf. So the ayah says women have the same rights against their men as men have rights. You see, this one ayah smashes all those issues which are raised, and they say Islam discriminates against women. And I can list all of those to you, and you know better than me. Someone will say that, look, men can have 4 wives, women only one husband, good or bad, she has to live. Men can go to a law court and stand as a witness, but the Quran says 2 women needed. The law of retribution, where you have qasas and diya, differentiation. In inheritance, they say that a girl will get less than a boy. Now each one can be analyzed properly, and you will find that there is no concept of inequality or injustice or favoritism. But we have no time for it right now. We will discuss it inshallah when we talk about legal system of Islam in next semester, where we have a whole module, Islamic legal system, and that will address this aspect of discrimination or gender discrimination or gender rights of men and women. Right here we are concerned with family ethics only and not law right now. Nevertheless, the ayah says very clearly, no differentiation between rights. If husband has right to expect that wife should be welcoming, pleasant, and listen to him, then she has same right on husband. No differentiation. The ayah says very clearly. Therefore, all other ayat are to be interpreted in the light of this Quranic ayah and cannot be understood in isolation. Okay? Then, family ethics includes the proper training and education of children by the family. So, the ayah says, believers, guard yourself and your kindred against a fire whose fuel is human beings and stones. Qu anfusakum wa ahlikum nara. That means you cannot say, it's my personal life, whatever I like I will do, and you my husband and you my children do whatever you want. Nor a child when on the verge of becoming adult can say that, sir, now I am 18, I don't care for what you are saying. Because Ahl includes all those who are minors or major. Ahl does not mean only infants. Therefore, when the Quran says you have to save them from hellfire, then it's not referring to infants but to whole family. Unfortunately, we have developed a concept that men should do dawah work and do whatever they think is Islam. But women, they are hopeless case. Leave them. It's foolishness. Who said it? The Quran says very clearly, your whole family is your obligation. If you are traveling 7,000 miles to teach tashahhud to people and not teaching that to your wife and children, are you an intelligent person? Therefore, the Quran says very clearly that you have an obligation to not only understand yourself, but you have to protect your children. And therefore, the prayer which has been prescribed is, O Lord, grant us that our spouses and our offspring be a joy to our eyes, and do make us the leaders of the Allah's fearing. That means when you enter your home, then you should feel that all so-called tensions of your office are gone. Not that all tensions of office are taken off on your family. No. Islamic system given by the Quran is very different. It's saying that when you see them, you feel pleasure. They give you relief. They give you consolation. They make you happy. Therefore, unless a house is made a home, we have not followed the Quran. Islamic family system is not that you build a villa and when you enter you feel how great is my construction. But when you are entering a hut, a small home, a one-bedroom apartment, then your wife and children should give you that consolation and feeling which relaxes you from everything. Okay? Unfortunately, our whole media industry tells us that unless a wife makes a specific brand of tea, husband will never relax. Therefore, only that brand of tea is to be given to husband to smile. And all that is mechanization, automation of human beings, dehumanization. We have been dehumanized by our own creation. So the ayah tells very clearly that you have to make sure that you live a home where you really find consolation, and then you don't have to go to a internal medicine expert and ask, sir, I feel depressed, I feel unhappy, can I have some barbiturates, can I have Istametil every morning one pill and every evening one pill, and that will keep my nerves strong, or increase vitamin B1 supplies and that will help my nervous system and I will be happy in my home. No, you don't need chemicals. Your chemical is your home. That's the chemistry Islam wants to create. And that's why the Quran emphasizes on these aspects again and again.
Sir, आपने एक word mechanization of एक word आपने mechanization use किया mechanization of human beings.
Geez, the reason I use that, there is a French philosopher and his name is Jacques Ellul. We call him Jack Ellul. And he has a whole book entitled Technological Society. And there he tells us that in the name of development, progress, comfort of people, we have developed a society where we are controlled by technology and we are not just benefiting from it. Now tell me, if you are jogging for 45 minutes and while jogging you jump on a ditch which is quite deep and successfully jump on it, as soon as you have made your jump, you draw from your pocket a fizzy drink and drink it. What's the message? The message is, whatever energy or calories I lost, I regain by it. This is technology. It's not something that after you made a jump, then there was a glass of pure milk and you took it. If you take this glass of milk, you are not dehumanized. If you take this can of acid drink, then it's technology that's ruling you. You feel very hungry. You go to vending machine, put a coin and push a button, and there comes out a sandwich. A sandwich which is made of white bread with mayonnaise, with some salad, with some piece of hot dog sliced, and you enjoy that. This is technology. It could be that before coming to your office, you just took a normal piece of bread made in our home from wheat flour and just put some small butter on it and roll it and put in a plastic sack and bring it. It will remain soft. All you have is butter and bread. Provides you more nutrition than what you did in white bread. This is not technology, it's humanization. In everything, whether it's food, whether it's education, now we hear everywhere in the world that it is the age of VLE, age of virtual learning, and therefore you must have at least 30% of courses virtual. Even in their biological sciences, now it's virtual learning. You don't need any more to go to actual model of human body, but everything virtual. Just like this, an equipment is made of transparent substance of like a table, and you just press a button and here you have a three-dimensional human body. If you want to see how your system of perspiration works, then it will show you only lungs and all things, nervous system, blood system, your heart. And I have seen that physically myself, because I deal with your medical issues sometime and I have to go out and find out what's happening. So this is just I think 6 million rupees equipment which you can get for your medical students, and everything is virtual. So in colorful three-dimensional figure, you see everything in front of you. I think we are not using that, but we were pioneers in that area. We had a partnership with Dundee in getting the modular training for our medical students, and we invested a lot of money in that. So you could have actually models which are like human body. Chinese have copied that a lot, and many other things are being done. The purpose of using this was that human feelings, when substituted with mechanical, lose their humanity. When you are taught in management science that you are sitting on counter with a big button here, with a smiling face drawn on that, and saying, how can I help you, or can I help you? And when someone comes, you must have this kind of smile if you want to continue your work. Then it's mechanization. Your smile is mechanical, not natural. But if you leave a child to his or her real nature, then you will find that when the child smiles, you see the eyes shining, you see the face shining, you feel it, it's warm, it's not mechanical. But same child, when he imitates someone, you can differentiate. That's mechanical. So our whole society has become mechanical society, a mechanization of behavior. B.F. Skinner, a very famous psychologist, has a whole book on that, how human behavior has to be considered just as a matter of mechanical responses. Anyhow, so next point is that family ethics in Islam is not confined to husband and wife or children. This concept of extended family has been unfortunately misused and has brought great problems in our society. It has been mixed with joint family system, which is a gift of Hinduism, not Islam. The word used here, extended family, which means they don't have to share the same kitchen, but they must have concern for their relations. Islam is more concerned about relations than physical existence. You may be living at 2 kilometers away from your parents, but if you have not met every day your parents and they have not asked about you every day, something is missing from your life. Doesn't matter where you are. You may be 10,000 miles away. Makes no difference. Technology has made it so easy. The so-called satanic devices of WhatsApp and so many family members of WhatsApp, you can just with a click talk and see on video and do whatever you want. It's only a matter of how you are concerned, attached. Islam wants an attached family, not detached family. Therefore, the ayah says, there is no blame on the blind, nor any blame on the sick, nor on yourself, that you eat in your own houses, or your father's houses, or your brother's houses, or houses of your sisters, or the houses of your mother's sisters. You see, all these relationships which are given make you a human being. When you reduce them by following British, American, French, Dutch, German culture, then you have a mechanical family. Ibrahim raised the question on mechanization. Actually, when you say my khala, my mamu, my chacha, and you say my uncle, what's the difference? Uncle could be in the street, a person, but that's not your mama. Mama means there is a link much closer than the word uncle. When you say just mama and papa, and you say amma or ammi, then the words have an attachment, no detachment. Unfortunately, in blind following of the West, we have distorted our own language, and use words which are mechanical relations. Here Islam wants vibrant relations which are full of warmth and love. So it's not saying if you have your khala, your phuppi, your chachi, then you first send a text message, Chachi, is it okay if I come and have a glass of water from you or drink a cup of tea with you? Or 2 weeks ahead you send an email to your father that I am planning to visit, is it okay, and can you give me a room and I will pay for that? Which is normal. No one in America or Australia or anywhere can go to another person without getting a reservation for the bed, for breakfast, for anything. Well, the Quran says nothing wrong in that. If you go, and that means your doors must be open to these near relations. My elder daughter taught me a very interesting lesson when we were discussing such issues. She said that if we follow what is given by the West, then perhaps within 2 generations we will have no human touch in family. And I asked, so how? She said, naturally. If a family in the Western sense has one male child, then this male child, when he grows and gets married and has children, will never have a chacha, will never have a taya, will never have a khala, will never have a sister. And same applies to one girl child. When you have only one girl child and one male child, again you have same problem. This one girl or one male which people think is best family, we have now a boy, so let's go to a doctor and take advice how we can have in next pregnancy a girl or a boy. So we complete the family. Just 2, one boy and one girl. Will this girl ever have desire to call someone her uncle, chacha, or taya, or khala? If you don't have these words exist, do you have society, civilization? These are implications which are never taught in chemistry, physics, biology, technology classes, not even sociology classes. But Islam wants us to think on all these issues by looking into the Quran. When the Quran says all these relations, then it has serious implications for the future of humanity. Future of humanity cannot be safe if you follow the Malthusian theory of puppet and control. Then you can have only one child or 2 children, and you will never have a complete family which the Quran talks about. This family can only come into existence when you have more children. So one of them is phuppi, one of them is khala, one of them is chachi, one of them is mami. All these relations disappear with the cartoon world, not network, but cartoon world. We live in cartoon world. We act like cartoons, think like cartoons, and therefore you have to come out of it. That's mechanization. That's technology ruling you in everything. So here the Quran tells us very clearly that there is no blame, nothing wrong if you are, and you eat together, you go and enter their houses and greet each other, and salutation is to be done, and so on and so forth. Ethics and morality. Then it goes a step further and tells even when relatives misbehave, you have to be kind to them. Let those among you who are bounteous and resourceful not swear to withhold giving to the kindred, to the needy, and to those who have forsaken their homes in the cause of Allah. Rather, let them forgive and forbear. Again, you see the same word used which we read earlier. Af, yafu, wasfahu. Do not wish that Allah should forgive you. Allah is very forgiving, most merciful. The ayah refers to the situation specifically when Sayyida Aisha was wrongly accused and Abu Bakr, her father, withdrew his support only intellectually, not physically. He thought that I should withdraw my support from the person who was his relative and was involved in this conspiracy. So the ayah comes and says, the person has done the gravest sin of defaming your family, your daughter, Prophet's wife, Prophet's honor, which is a great sin. But what should you do? Break your relation? Withdraw your support? See, this is the ethics. You only hear about Islamic law of punishment. If Taliban came, they will cut hands of thieves, they will stop women education, they will let everyone grow beard. This is your concept of Islamic State. But the Quran tells you, not just law, but it's focusing more on family ethics, which is extended, which makes a life meaningful, which makes life worth living. Otherwise, if you are by yourself, living with the help of vending machines, when you feel hungry, you get a Coke. When you feel hungry, you get a sandwich. When you want to do something else, again you put a coin and get that thing. This is mechanized life. So this is how Islam wants to see family ethics applied. Then it tells us that what are obligations. Among those, it puts on top obligation toward parents. And the ayah tells you very clearly that your Lord has decreed, do not worship any but Him. Which means that in worshipping, no one can share. But besides that, be good to your parents, and should both or any one of them attain old age with you, do not say fie to them, neither chid them, but speak to them with respect. Now, what does a 3-year-old girl tell her mother today? Mama, you don't know. It's common words. And same if the son is 8 years or 9 years, then he knows everything and his father is living in stone age. The way they talk and respond. Who is teaching them? Your Cartoon Network, your society. How to respond. Everything they see on the screen goes deep in their memory. Visual memory is more deeper than auditional memory. And they see that in 3 dimensions, not just hearing. So they are bound to be influenced. So the Quran says, if one of them, which means, you see how human the Quran is. It is telling us that you have a father and a mother and they have reached 40 plus and you live in the same home with them. Now you are adult. You are a working lady or a working man and you go to your work and you come around 10:30 in the evening And the mother says, Beta, where were you? And you say, आपको क्या गरज है, आप कौन पूछने वाली, मैं अपने समझता हूँ जहाँ पे मसरूफ हूँ, मुझे 10 काम थे, आपको क्या मतलब इससे? Is that not the normal conversation you find in families? The Quran is saying, you should not say fee to them, which means whether they repeat things to you again and again, and you will find very frequently, if a person crosses 60 or 70 and has said, Beta, do this, and you take just 5 minutes not to do it, again the same thing said, do it. And 2 minutes again said, till you say, please, I have heard. That's what the Quran is saying. Don't say fee. But is that not a normal way in our families? Are we following Quran? Understanding it? Is it difficult to understand? It's in front of you. I'm not making this meaning out of it. It says very clearly, no obedience but of Allah. But besides that, obedience of parents to the extent that do not say a single word that might hurt. On the other hand, pray for them that when I was nothing, it was they, the poor mother and the poor father, when the child is just 2 months old and has bronchitis, they don't sleep whole night. They run from here to there, to a medical doctor, to a hospital, and cannot sleep, and cannot blame either, cannot send a check, a bill to the child that, you see, I spent whole night, it's overtime, every hour 95 rupees, so you pay me 10,000 rupees for 1 night because I took care of you. If you have a male or female nurse to take care, don't you pay? Are children paying their mothers and parents for nursing they did for them any time in their life? Have they ever thought about it? It's our right. We were born and they had to raise us, and they had to tolerate all those things. You are crying, you are laughing, you are running around, you hurt yourself, but they feel they are hurt. They run around, and before you bleed, they take care of your wound. And then you say, now you are old fellow, and the sign of technological development is that we must have homes for elderly people in Pakistan. This is our culture. Unless we have that, we are underdeveloped. This is what the Quran wants. When they become old and you think now they are intolerable, therefore let us send them to a senior citizens home, and let some women who are working ladies have single working lady homes, and they live there. Is that what Islam wants? Can that give you peace? Can you give you consolation? Can it save you from frustrations and all kind of mental diseases? It cannot. It's only possible when you are having a shock absorbing mechanism by this extended system, where a child is not responsibility only of his or her parents, but the whole family is involved in upbringing of personality. Anyhow, so the ayah says, do not worship except Allah, but at the same time you have to make sure that you are behaving and praying to Allah, Lord, show mercy to them as they nurtured me when I was small. Similarly, you find in Surah Nisa, ayah number 36, having nearly same meaning. So, the obedience to parents is also mentioned in ahadith, many ahadith, but I picked up only a few. Allah's pleasure is in pleasure of father, and Allah's anger is in anger of father. You see, a hadith tells you that 3 times Prophet said that serve your mother. But hadith also talks about father and says that if a father is displeased from his children, then Allah will always accept whatever he says. Which means if he makes a dua against his children, it will not be refused. Therefore, it's not just mother, but also father has been fully recognized in ahadith. So the hadith tells you 3 times Prophet said about your mother, and then your father does not mean that only mother, because other ahadith also balance it, complement it. So the limits are given in earlier ayah also and here also, that you should not take them as your God. You should not follow them when they ask you to break relations which Allah has made for you. They cannot ask you to do something haram which Allah has made haram. In those matters, no obedience. Halal and haram is clear. Other than that, you have to follow them. Then the ayah also tells that whatever you are earning is not your money. And please conduct a national survey to find out how many young people or grey hair people who are chief executives of their corporations and who have built a home for themselves and 2 homes to be rented and drive a BMW, how much of their salary or their assets are ever spent on their parents? How much? Conduct a survey in the country and find out. Whatever a person earns, who are the immediate claimants? First and foremost, wife, then children. Sometimes, first and foremost, he himself or she herself. It's my salary, I will buy the branded suit, paying 5 times more price because I am the earning member. Then comes second choice, your wife or your children, and could be reverse. Where are parents? Once a year, a mechanically printed card on which there are 2 words, hi dad, I love you, hi mom, I love you. Once a year, on the so-called Mother's Day or Father's Day, that card is mailed to a father and to a mother who lives only 2 blocks where you are living. Not only walking and saying hi mom, but 2 blocks cannot be covered by walking. Now, not even a card by mail, but a electronic card to be sent, and that's enough. Where is Quran? The problem is, if you don't have humanity, human feelings, you have no society. And we are approaching that level where we are becoming a dehumanized society. So the ayah says, people ask you what should they spend. Say whatever wealth you spend, let it be for your parents, whatever. It's not saying that you are drawing a check of 200,000 rupees or 5,000 rupees and then very generously you go and give 500 rupees to your old mother and say this is for your medicine, while you are enjoying the rest of 400,000 rupees for yourself. How many of the people whose parents live even nowadays in villages, have regular visits of their parents, regular, or how many just maybe on Eid, maybe some occasion, marriage or some death or something. The Quran is concerned about ethics, morality, and therefore it wants to create that relationship which is very warm and responsive. So this ayah we have discussed earlier, equality in rights, so there is no differentiation in rights of male and female, husband and wife, and children and parents. Then the family ethics also includes a very sensitive issue that relates with population. This has been emphasized again and again, that unless you control your population, you will be having people eat up human flesh. Therefore, you should not go beyond one child or two children. The Quran says, do not kill your children for fear of want, resources. We will provide for them and for you. Surely, killing them is a great sin, which means that there cannot be any state legislation which declares that we must have that much size of population. Nevertheless, in exceptional situations where a medical doctor advises on health grounds that a female will face danger if she conceives, Islam allows her to observe all precautions, but it does not encourage or allows that after marriage they say that we don't want to have any third party intervening in our enjoyment. We want to spend 5 years traveling globally, enjoying all kinds of mountains and cuisines, best food, and after 5 years we will think of having a baby. All that choice is not there, but it says that don't think that you can feed yourself very well, but you cannot feed your children. If Allah can feed you, He can also feed children. The whole argument of population and food availability is smashed by Quranic ayah. Does not mean stay in home, don't work at all, and you will get a delivery man coming to your home 3 times a day with food. No. The Quran says again and again, go and do sa'i, go and do work, generate. We have made for you this earth to be tilled. Go and do farming, go and do trade. Everything is mentioned in the Quran. Does not mean that you become, unfortunately, if you carefully visit your country, you will find that not only in villages, which is a very customary thing, but even in towns, people sit just on a cup of tea for 3 hours, 4 hours with friends. They sit and watch 2 hours a drama serial they like. They listen to a news commentary half an hour doing nothing, but they have no time for work. They say, I am very busy, no time. Therefore, the Quran is talking down to earth and telling us that do not be misguided by the feeling that you can very well feed yourself, but if a child comes then you will have a catastrophe. But if we can feed you, we can also provide resources for that. And if we only use our available knowledge, we can be not only self-sufficient, but we can be best exporters of food material. And this I am not saying just as a emotional comment, but I have evidence to support what I am saying. Agriculture in our country has been completely destroyed by our policy planners, and they have never given any thought to it. Some time back I made a comment that I am against GM food, but I am very much in favor of use of proper technology which can enhance our production. We talk about water resource, and if you travel from Islamabad to Lahore or any place, you find paddy fields where rice is planted, and you find that it is having knee thick, knee high water. It never needs that. Less than 10 inches of water is required, but we do that and do traditionally. Everywhere we have waste. We never use our brain, we never use knowledge. So the people who say we will be short of food if we have more children have no basis, logical basis. And the Quran tells us about it very clearly. So population issue is resolved by this Quranic ayah. Then positive thinking in order to save marriage. The ayah says, live with your wives gracefully. If you dislike them in any manner, it may be that you dislike something in which Allah has placed much good for you. A wife may have a habit you don't like, but perhaps Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put great benefit for you in that kind of habit she has. You don't know yet. You may know later on one day. And you only look for that one weakness in your view. You never look for 25 good aspects that she has. And it's human nature that your one annoying thing annoys you, but 2000 pleasant aspects are never remembered. So if a wife does not get on her birthday or wedding anniversary a branded perfume, then she just makes a comment, what have you given me all my life? I have been suffering all my life with you. Only by one single omission, which may be omission, maybe he was overworked, busy, did not remember. By the husband, wife may have done 9,000 sacrifices, but one single thing done becomes the basis of all kind of trouble and displeasure leading to divorce. You have an alarming rate of divorce in Pakistan, which was the lowest divorce rate country. Now, because of your media showing freedom of speech and freedom of using your body, telling them you are just by yourself, it's your human right to do whatever you want, and all that has led to very serious social problems, including divorce. So the Quran wants to have positive thinking in family and not to have any kind of. But if it does not work, if all efforts, thinking positive, politeness, sacrifice, love, compassion fails, then if a wife fears cruelty or desertion on her husband's part, there is no blame on them if they arrange an amicable settlement between themselves, and such settlement is best. Even though men's souls are swayed by greed, but if you do good and practice self-restraint, Allah well equipped with all that you find. So the ayah again provides a very balanced view that although men are quite often swayed by greed and may not be very fair to their wives, but still if things have reached a point where you cannot anymore live together, then it's good to arrange a settlement a mediation, a person from within the family who should be able to sort out the problem. So mediation by relatives, the Quran calls it tahkim. If you fear a breach between the two, appoint an arbiter from. It is mediation, not arbitration. The translator has used the word, but I would have preferred to use mediation. From his people and an arbiter from her people. If they both want to set things right, Allah will bring about reconciliation between them. Allah is all known, knowledge, all aware. So if efforts, individual efforts on the part of husband and wife does not succeed, then they take help from someone to advise them. Then ultimately, if nothing works out, only then Islam allows to consider talaq. For that too, it says divorce is twice. After that, either you retain her honorably or reasonable terms, or release her with kindness. You see, the word ma'roof and ihsan is used very prominently in a situation when you want to bring your dirty clothes in front of people, when both parties have a desire to blame the other, defame, go around and say, look what injustice, zulm has been done on me, and both go out of extremes. They never live within limits. In such situations, the Quran is saying that if it reaches the point of divorce, then even then do it in a manner which has a hope of reconciliation, which means never give 3 talaq, number 1. Number 2, 1 talaq then given 1 whole month's period while doing best to reconcile. What's our own culture in the country? The moment things are not going well and husband has not yet used the word talaq but hinting towards that, and then says, I don't need you, and she calls her brother or mama or parents and they come and take her. Will that solve the problem? No, the Quran says that you cannot do that. You have now 1 whole month to reconcile, which means she must do her best by her gestures, by her ways of doing things to mend, and same for the husband. Both should try. Another whole month of trying in good faith with positive thinking doesn't work. Then a 3rd month, again a possibility. Before this 3rd month is over, they can come back, although 2 talaq have been given. They can come back without any kind of external people knowing about it. In fiqh we say that they can do tajdeed and nikah, but tajdeed does not mean you should do it in Marriott or in PC. Simply means that husband and wife have themselves joined together. That's tajdeed and nikah. You don't have to invite a Maulana to give a khutbah of nikah. No. However, the ayah further tells us that if 3 talaq has been given, then there is no point of return. Then it is not a joke. Your media has made it a joke. Your so-called intellectuals have made it a joke. And in dramas you find that someone appearing to be a mufti or someone will say, okay, then do halala. Now, that is not possible. Halala does not mean what is shown on television or is said by people. So again it is said that husband can do talaq but wife cannot pronounce talaq. The Quran says she also has right, and that right is to say that free me, or I don't want to be with you anymore. And in that case it is no different than talaq, and husband is obliged to follow it, or else she can approach judiciary and judge is fully authorized to declare talaq between them if she wants khula. Even when talaq is taking place, has taken place, the Quran tells us that if she is expecting, then it's your obligation to make sure that you provide for a provision. You cannot leave her just by saying the word talaq. So in the waiting period they have to wait, and after waiting period is over they have all liberty to get married, and former husband or former husband's family has no right whatsoever to create difficulties for them. And this again you have particularly in various parts of our country where you have a so-called brotherly system, that if a girl from that brotherly is facing this problem, then the whole brotherly makes effort that after divorce no one should marry her, and same for the boy, he should not marry. All kind of, even murders are done based on that, because it was against our honor that she was divorced, so we must not allow anyone else to do that, and so on and so forth. All those jahili customs are smashed by the Quran and Sunnah. Nevertheless, the Quran wants even a divorce and waiting period with dignity and honor, and not just a commercial relationship. A commercial relationship has also an ethics. If you have a contract with your partner in business, you don't just one morning say we leave. You have always a grace period. You must provide a notice. You cannot in the middle of semester say, well, I'm unhappy with the university, assalamu alaikum. My husband doesn't want me to eat, assalamu alaikum. No, you cannot do that. You have a contract. Even not in contract, ethical contract, that you must complete the semester, then leave. So how can it be that a marriage is broken and people think once we have said 3 talaq, then finish, and now they go to hell or whatever happens with them. So the ayah tells very clearly that you have to follow a very ethical behavior even in matters which are not liked by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now and if he has divorced her the 3rd time, then she is not lawful unto him thereafter until she has married another husband. Now the meaning is very simple, that a husband and wife reached a point where they have done everything to reconcile, but ultimately 3 talaq is done. Now they again open their eyes and say, well, this was wrong, but the bullet has gone out of your gun, you cannot put it back again. So the Quran says, in exceptional situations, suppose it happened, but both parties or one party or the wife in the meantime gets married in a natural way, not in an arranged manner, and remains married with the person for some time, not as an excuse but just normal living, and then again develop some problems, and after 2 years, 5 years, 10 years she gets divorced. In the meantime this person also married or not married, and again they come to know each other somewhere and find out that whatever they did was wrong, then they can come back, but now they are again strangers, so they have to get remarried. It cannot be that you just out of anger do a talaq and then tell someone, well, I did it, and the mufti says, okay, no problem, arrange with some friend who can marry, and then let him divorce, and then you can again get married. This is not what the ayah means. Ayah means exceptional situations, because if you are such a low ethics person that your wife, to get her back, you offer her body to a person to use and then give it back to you, then you have no manners, ethics and morality. You are worse than an animal. Unfortunately, the meaning is never understood or explained. It's horrible. It's horrible. Therefore, the so-called halala is not something which people propagate, that okay, nothing wrong, so and so Mufti Sahib can solve your problem, go to him, and Mufti Sahib will say, well, you can do halala and people are available for that. Yes. What's the difference? What's the difference between zina and this act? The hadith uses very strong words for that, very strong words, and says it is abhorring, it is very much unhuman to do that kind of thing. So the concept of halala that is spread in our society is totally baseless. Then ethics of family is not confined to family life, but it also refers to how you make family life successful and how you think of larger human family. So the Quran says that believing men and women, they keep their gazes down. That means when you are talking, giving a lecture, when you are trying to examine a patient, when you are facing a situation where there are women and you alone are a male there, or contrary, then what should be the mannerism? Should you look on the faces of persons and then justify that by saying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Jameel and likes Jamal, therefore nothing wrong for me in looking on beautiful faces? What kind of justification is that? And it is part of our literature. If you read poetry and literature, you will find many statements to that effect done by our writers. Anyhow, so the ayah tells us that enjoin believing men and women to protect their vision from getting polluted. It is very natural that if you look on a person who is very attractive and beautiful, then you cannot remain unaffected. It is highly mischievous to think that a person has reached a level of spirituality where nothing bothers him. No one can be higher in spirituality than the Prophet, peace be upon him. But Prophet observes this Quranic ayah himself and wants his people to observe it. I have found in my own experience in teaching in various parts of the world, in China, in Malaysia, in America, in Pakistan, I have addressed huge gatherings and small classes, but I haven't heard from my addressees that you did not gaze in our eyes, therefore we could not understand. Although every manual of art of speaking tells you that you have to make sure that your eyeballs are not only moving but you are focusing on people, then you communicate. I have acted against that manual all my life, and I have not come across a single situation when they say, since you did not look in our face, therefore we could never understand what you were saying. Communication is something different than looking on face. Communication means selection of words, ideas, their simplification and their elaboration in a way that every word is heard and not disjointed. If you do that, then you have got the art of communication. But you don't have to. I have studied all those instructions when you are in class. Keep on walking, so you close the distance between class and yourself. If you are on a stage, then don't stand in a single place. Sometimes bang, sometimes raise your hand. And that's why you find that overdoing it by the so-called singers has become their habit. They must shiver strongly whenever they want to sing. A sign of nervousness in psychology. But they think it's something very pleasant, people are enjoying it. So many manuals advise you for illogical things. But the ayah tells us that you have to make sure, because that is one source of distraction, one source of giving wrong meaning, one source of creating attachment which is unnecessary. On the other hand, it is not prohibited at all to look on your wife, on your daughter, on your sister, on your khala, on your those who are near to you, and those relations which have been declared as haram. For them, Islam has never said that don't look at their face, don't appreciate the beautiful dress of your daughter, never allow her to wear good dress. Perfectly okay. But she should not be made a commercial thing in marketplace. She can beautify herself in front of her father and husband and brother, but she should not become commercial by way of putting as much perfume and cosmetic as possible and then going out and getting appreciation in the marketplace. That in Islamic view is unethical. Therefore, it does not avoid using all those things which are very much practical, down to earth, which will take place. So it says that you can reveal your adornment in front of your husband, father's father. It gives all those relations where it can be done, but not in public. So you create an ethical society, a society where people respect each other, where they feel secure, where they don't feel some eyes are always following them. And do an experimentation. It's very interesting to do experiment. If a female who is a stranger to you is walking in the street and you keep on gazing on her, although she does not have eyes in the back, but she will feel hurt and she will turn her face to see someone is around. This is human. And therefore, what the Quran is saying is not something abnormal for angels. No, it's addressing human issues. How human beings act and behave, and how they get distracted. They lose right path and go to wrong path with all so-called piety, all so-called knowledge. They can give you a beautiful lecture, but in their own character, different. So here the Quran is addressing these issues and telling us in very simple words that if you want to have a society where you have piety and taqwa, that means in the air, not in dress, piety in environment, a situation where people feel more secure and comfortable, where they are not oppressed and exploited or threatened. All those aspects are very well explained by these Quranic ayat in terms of the family ethics. Then it tells that the dignified living and ethics in speech. For women, it says, and stay in your houses and do not go about displaying your allurement as in the former times of Jahiliyyah. Just conduct a survey and find out how many working women in multinational or banks or offices where they are working as secretaries or working on counter or doing any administrative job, how many of them can use same dress 2 days? How many? How many of them can use same perfume 2 or 3 days? How many of them can wear same cosmetics 2 or 3 days? Which means every day you have to make a model appearance to save your job. Is that better for the personality, or better for the personality to be away from that? Islam is not saying don't be productive. No. Production is something different than sitting in home. Sitting in home does not mean sit idle. In this country, traditionally, women have worked always more than men. Although you always hear in your yearbook published by Government of Pakistan that men are working. It's wrong. And I read all those material. I'm not just making statements without basis. In a village, who takes care of animals? Who takes care of the food of the person who wakes up not at Fajr but much later and then walks to the farm, and she carries a bucket of lassi or water and food for her to the place to feed him, and he comes back and sleeps, and she is still whole day weaving from the wool of the lamb, weaving from the straw pieces nice chicks and ornaments and things to be used, rugs, not only rugs but your cloth material which is of various colors, different colors. Having done all that, preparing, but all good done by him, and same taking care of children, not one. She has extreme contribution in economy by way of small industries run by them, although they're not professionals. But no economic data ever tells you about it. It only tells you about 28 to 35% is the figure which fluctuates. These are working women of the country. Then they say, unless they become 50%, we are going to lose economy. That means Even when you are 50%, how are you going to take care of other things? 50% means they should be on job. While they are on job, either they have no kids, or if they have kids, they must be in a nursery, in a school, in a child care center, or there must be a lady at home hired to take care of them. All these investment on your take care home, on this lady, on everything is never counted, but only the salary check that she draws, that I am making that much money. Out of that much money, how much is being used for every day a new dress? How much is being used for transport to go to job? Make a balance sheet and you will be surprised to find out how much you are saving, how much you are losing in human capital. You lose human capital. A kid who has never tasted love of mother and father, but always from day one in a daycare center, then in a nursery, then in a school, you want this kid to salute you and love you and listen to you. Why should he? What have you done for him? Why should he behave like that? That means the cost benefit analysis is never done. So when the ayah says, it's not saying don't be productive. No, you could be extremely productive and could be extremely useful for society, but in manners which are not harmful, which are not going to reduce possibility of civilization. Civilization can only survive when you have human capital properly developed. If human capital is not developed, then you are bound to have violence, sex crimes, theft, all kind of torture and injustice to women and men both. It's bound to take place. There's no other way. It's only when human feelings and human personality is developed within an environment of compassion and love and mercy and forgiveness and care. Without that, you cannot create a human being who will be compassionate to his wife and co-worker and to parents and society. You will only make a robot who will carry your name because of your gene, but nothing else. So the Quranic messages that come out of these ayat are very simple, that you should give due value to home and not just to economic benefits which are drawn. Having said that about why the Quran wants them to prefer home as compared to other activities, the other ayah tells us that while you are there in home or outside, then there has to be an ethical manner of responding. Tell me, if you hire in an office telephone operator and you want to hire a female, then do you hire a female who just picks up telephone and says hello, or says hello in a musical manner? Whom will you hire as an employer, as HR personnel? The Quran is telling us that you're not supposed to have that kind of musicality in your speech. Does not mean always be rough, harsh, sounding loud, no. But the Quran says you have to use a language in a way that it is not suggestive. But when you use consciously a language, or consciously crack jokes, or consciously show such informality that the person may approach you nearer and nearer, then is that ethical behavior? The whole focus is on ethics, not law, ethics. So here again the Quran is telling us that not only wives of Prophet, but any Muslim lady is not supposed to talk in a manner which can Nowadays you find that those who have audition test to hire people, one criteria is how far the voice has sexual appeal. It's part of interview process. Dress, same. How much sexual appeal? Perfume, same. Sexual appeal. And for that they spend millions of dollars to find out from the field, having surveyed which perfume can create that kind of psychological phenomena. So the Quran is telling us that even when you are talking, it has to be an ethical manner. No one can think of wise or the Prophet that they will come to a level of talking to them unnecessarily or thinking about them in terms of any kind of bodily enjoyment they can have. They are mothers of Ummah. But even mothers are told how you talk with your children. Though there is no possibility of other relationship except mother and child, still they are asked. Now those who are not mothers have to be more careful. If mothers are asked to speak in that language, then those who are not mothers, they have to take extra care and never to use language or expressions which can be suggestive. I think I have taken quite a bit of time, more than what needed, and Dr. Sahab has come. So we stop here with all our effort to finish this discussion. We could not succeed, and that's my weakness. So we have no choice but to complete later on, inshallah, in next meeting, inshallah. Okay.